Welcome to another episode of From Wise to Wise, where we're overcoming victim mentality and unpacking our generational trauma. Okay.
So he threw me out when I was 9 months pregnant.
Put the battery back in and dial 911, hoping that it would just connect.
I wish we could speak to the mountaintops and call them all out.
Yeah.
Because it's not our shame to carry.
And I ran into my neighbor's house. Oh shit, I'm in danger. And this right here. Today, we're going to be talking about my childhood and how it led to some pretty dysfunctional relationships in the adult part.
All right, let's jump in.
Okay, yeah, let's jump in. I've seen that like 12 times. I don't understand why all of a sudden. Is that you?
No. Show it again. No.
What the hell is that? Okay.
I never had big hair like that.
Oh. This picture right here. I found this and I knew exactly when it was in my childhood, but I didn't know that my dad had proof of what was going on with my stepmom. Pulling the pieces of what made me feel so uncomfortable with things, like looking at all these photos of my childhood, like there's normal, like, oh, look, I'm a kid. I'm just being a child. And then it gets into my teenage years and the pictures change. And I'm like, this is why I was so uncomfortable being on camera. And I didn't want my picture taken because it went from cute kid. Hold on, wait. It's here somewhere. To the focus changing. Oh my God. Wait, what the? Who did this to me?
I didn't do that. Never had that cat. You know, the irony is too that I have actual video proof of your father photographing young girls at your softball.
He used to brag to me when I told him, you hitting on my friends is making me uncomfortable. He's like, well, they're 18. So the pictures went from cute, innocent kid to capturing moments where I was vulnerable as a teenager.
And who's taking those pictures?
My father.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my stepmom was gone at that point. It was under the guise of, oh, let me just see how long your hair is, right? But then like, why are we taking action shots like this? Why are we getting close-ups? Like,
okay, and the red flag also is small, skinny women were his.
I was abused as a child, and this person's violating the same boundaries that I had violated as a child.
When the reality of that there was a child coming, and he was very verbally abusive.
Oh, I witnessed it happening with my stepmom.
Your body remembers.
But that's originally why I cut off that relationship.
I was 19 when I met your dad.
Oh, God.
You didn't know that?
No. I'm only a couple years younger in this picture.
I was still married.
Oh.
He's 20 years older than me. So I was 19. He was 39. I was miserable in my marriage. And he had a license plate frame that said filthy rich because I'm single. So he flaunted his wealth, led me to believe that he was going to help me get away, which he did. Got into an apartment, and then he started pursuing me, and because he had helped me, I was obligated. But I broke free from him for like years, and I don't remember where it was we reconnected, because okay, it gets really, really a little bit wackadoodle because
you, hold on, this was the switch, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. He was dating someone
No name.
that I worked with. Maybe that's how I met your dad. I met your dad through a friend because we worked at the same place.
You were married.
I was married. I divorced and
started dating my dad.
Broke up with him and started dating my ex, and then he was then single and pursued me, and oof, yeah.
Love it.
You know,
Oh
it gets
God.
even a little more wackadoodle in there too, because there's, never mind. It's
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
your sister's
I know.
father ended up with, yeah, okay.
With who?
He ended up with the same woman.
Oh, yeah, no, I knew that. That was the
Yeah. So, yeah.
So wait, me and my older
I
sister
know.
are more related than half sibling. We're like 3/4 sibling.
Ish.
Oh God,
But the thing was, then I got into a situation being a single mom. I felt desperate, and he never let up. And of course, he was charming and flaunted.
Oh,
you know,
that
like I
was-
wanted to be wined and dined, and yeah. And
he was that person that notoriously would never date anybody his age, and would brag about how he could get all these young women. And
Yep.
you were 19 apparently. My stepmom was early 20s, because I remember
it's not even the age; it is the look. It's
appearance.
the no makeup, long hair, no boobs, skinny, like, you know, you look like a young girl kind of thing.
Now, hold on. Let's rewind for a second, because for those of you that don't know, I grew up with my dad using a wheelchair. He had polio as a child, and he was quadriplegic because of it. But whatever you're imagining about someone with a disability, he was going to prove you wrong about that. He has achieved some things people could only dream of in their lifetime. He was an Eagle Scout on crutches. He scuba dove with the Prince of Wales, and made a film with Jacques Cousteau's son, all while having a disability. He played on Team USA and was involved in wheelchair sports, even up until I stopped talking to him when he was close to 70 years old. Now, let's get back to our story. He's into the naturopathic woman, the spiritual,
that wasn't that he might have. I think he progressed into that with.
Well, you're a little hippy dippy.
Yeah, but he wasn't like that initially with me.
Interesting.
No, don't remember that at all. But I do remember doing, like, there was a lot of things about the scuba association and all that. Like, that life was like, wow.
Oh, he's
like,
very,
he's around
yeah,
celebrities. Yeah, he was very charismatic. And
I remember when I started finally standing up to him is when I was we were traveling for rugby, and there was a flight attendant, and his signature move was he pops the axle out of his wheel on his wheelchair just enough so that when he wheels by someone, he can pop his wheel off and then fall on the floor. And then when they come and try to help him up, he grabs their boobs, grabs their butt, violates and molests them. At first, it was the haha, oh my God, what a good party trick. They never see this coming. And then I started growing up and realizing, oh my God, he's a predator. This is not okay.
he was dangerous because nobody suspected it. Nobody thought, like, I wasn't believed. Yeah. Nobody believed me, because here's this nice guy in a wheelchair. Like, what are you talking about? He kicked me out of the house when I was 9 months pregnant with you.
Interesting. See, that here's the little pieces of the story that I was told from my stepmom to put you down were, they were only together 9 months. So it must have been a one-night stand, because they got together after
years. I'd been on and off with him. And once I got pregnant, we were going to get married. Like, he was committed. We redid the whole house. That was me.
Stupid pink tub is still there.
I helped with the building plan. That back bedroom didn't exist. That was built on, and the new bathroom and like everything. Like, that was me. Our names were in the cement on the driveway, you know?
It got chiseled out.
I know. I know.
As a kid, I remember being like, hey, there's my initial, but like there's one that's not there. But that was
the reality of that there was a child coming, and he was very verbally abusive. My mother had to come and get me out of there many times, because I was just like broken down in tears, couldn't drive. I was too upset. And then, then he could turn on the charm and make it all better. And, the typical.
Oh, I witnessed it, because I witnessed it happening with my stepmom. Those are just knock something over. I witnessed them having fights, and they were both abusive people. So they were abusive to each other. She would grab his wheelchair and go throw it on the lawn, and then come to me as a child and try to like convince me that either one of them was like doing the worst thing. Like I remember one of them was bleeding on the arm, and they came up to me and like, look what she did. Look what she did. And it's like, I'm like 9.
You
What do
should
you
not
want?
have been put in that position. Yeah.
No, I shouldn't be seeing this. But that became the norm.
Yeah. So he threw me out when I was 9 months pregnant, and I went and stayed with a really lovely family from my church because I did go to church, and she was a labor and delivery nurse. I keep wanting to look her up, see if I can find her. And then, of course, once you were born, they were like the mediators. They would convince him, come over, see your baby, and then finally he had to do the like, well, I need to look good thing and let her move back home.
Oh God. Ugh. Well, he was really never there in my childhood. He specifically married a new woman so that he didn't have to watch me.
Right. I knew that.
When they split up and he had to deal with me in high school, he would tell me all the time, if I could go back and do it again, I wouldn't have kids. And I caught him one time. He was talking about his dad, and because he loves to go on stories about his childhood. And I was like, why do you always say your dad and not my grandpa? And he like, it stopped him. He was like, oh, you're right.
Well, that's where his deep hurt came from. He was the firstborn. He was the male, like back in that generation, like you have a boy, that is like, whoo.
Yeah.
And so I remember looking at the pictures that he would share, the photo album where as a baby, him and dad's holding him, all this stuff with dad.
And then he got polio.
When there was a family picture, there was as much separation between dad and him as possible. And you could see it happen. And you could see that he was now shunned.
Oh, everything he did, he would say this, everything he did, he would do to try to get his dad's approval because nothing was ever good enough.
And again, so this is another pattern is him and then most recent ex still had that young child experience because his was growing up in a very, very cultish religion. That
the repression,
he got shamed, he got beat, really bad dark stuff. I wanted to heal him, I wanted to fix him, I wanted him to see that life could be okay. Never in a million years did I suspect or think that young girls and children were ever in his line of sight. I really didn't. Honest to God, standing for you today, I really only thought it was grown women. Or that would have changed everything. I didn't understand. Why custody was taken from me. Because that was my defense. Like I kept saying, like, he's not a danger to my kids. My kids have never been, anything but, but I mean, gosh, I wish I could go back and change things. But I honestly, like, I never dreamed.
I don't think it really, I had known because my stepmom warned me of it when I was a teenager. And I think she was going through whatever she was going through that turned her into a different person. I think in her back around way of making me dress like a boy, telling me about all of my things with my stepdad was also her way of protecting me from my dad because she saw it.
100%. I think that's actually in the court documents. I observed you. We fought for 6 years, 7 years. I mean, I never stopped fighting because I knew the situation you were in was like, I knew I could protect you if you were back home, was my like,
well, the irony.
I didn't understand. I also know that's why I'm like so passionate about helping women go through the court system because I know how dirty it is too. We went to a, what do you call it? They assess, like you sit with them and they're not a mediator. They're a court-appointed evaluator.
Okay.
And your father was screaming at me, like doing what he does in front of this person who's evaluating. I was asked to leave the room for a moment. And then I get called back in and he's got him under control. Well, later I found out that because your father had paid for him and he wanted to rule in his favor, he had to coach him a little bit on how to behave
Hate
in
that.
session.
Hate that.
Yeah. So, but I honestly believed that justice is going to prevail. I am the best person to put her with. Like, I really thought going into this that it was going to be over. And I got the call. You were at your dad's. And I remember right where I was standing in the barn, I got the phone call, and it was the evaluator saying that he was ruling in favor of your father. And while I have never physically lost a child, at that moment, I can tell you, I know what it felt like. I could not believe what I was hearing. And because you and I were close. Like we were so close. Your sister was jealous and hated me for being so close to you and not as close to her. That's a gap of her childhood also that, I can't make up for, but there was different feelings there. So yeah, I fought for the next 6 years, and I knew that if I left, I would have no money to keep fighting for you. And I couldn't stop fighting. I had to let you know that I was still fighting for you. Like that was like and I would tell you, like, I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting for you. And I wanted you to see that. I wanted you to see how hard I was fighting for you. But I couldn't win because it was like a lose-lose. Like if I ran out of money, I'm done. And if I stay with him, I'm done.
I remember.
And here we are.
Yeah. Literally, I remember not wanting to go down the hallway in the Winchester house to go to the bathroom because he might see me. I would lock myself in my room and just like be terrified of walking down to go. And like the bathroom was the next door.
Right. I remember that house. It was bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, living room.
Mm-hmm. But either you were outside with the horses or you weren't home. And I would just sit in my room and not want to leave.
And see, after he got arrested, he had me convinced it had nothing to do with children,
And this right here.
Oh my God.
Oh God. I've seen that like 12 times. I don't understand why all of a sudden. Okay. Talking about generational trauma, he literally had the proof that she was hurting me and documented it for some reason and just kept it with all of our other family photos.
You were talking to a therapist during the whole custody battle thing and disclosing the abuse to the therapist, and she kept refusing to testify.
She was the one that asked me, who do you want to live with?
And I kept telling her, don't put her in that position because she's terrified to say either one.
Yeah, because I was like, well, I've been living with my mom. May as well give living with my dad a try. But I was also uncomfortable living with and I knew that.
I
know that. But the pinnacle of when I gave up was when I finally realized, like, oh, being afraid of my stepmom isn't normal. I shouldn't be afraid for my life. There was one day, I remember the phone was the big issue. Like she did not want me to have my phone to contact you, whatever it was. And I had one of those cool like Razr flip phones. And I finally like got the gall and I was like, you can't talk to me like this. The court gave me this phone. This is mine. I'm going to call my mom. And she took it and she snapped it in front of my face.
I remember that.
And I ran to my bedroom and I spent probably 20 minutes trying to like put the battery back in and dial 911, hoping that it would just like connect. Yeah. And after enough time and I had calmed down a little bit, I snuck out my window and I tried to run down the street and I ran into my neighbor's house, and their complete just like disbelief that she was capable of doing this. I was like, oh shit, I'm in danger. Like nobody sees what she's doing and they don't believe me.
And I knew it. And there was nothing I could do to protect you. And now that you're a parent, you're going to understand that feeling, that mama bear of like, and when you're helpless and you can't fix it, it is hard. Because I knew everything you're saying, I knew this was going on. You were telling me. And then I was talking to your school And I do believe it was finally the school counselors, the one that got CPS involved.
Oh, CPS
And
didn't do.
well, I was told that he was given the choice of either get rid of the stepmom or they were removing you from the home.
He was not supposed to leave me alone with her. That was under court order. I remember it. And he continuously did it. And that's why I was like, this is not okay. This is wrong. And
I know the final straw was like, you told me that you were having nightmares that she was going to come in and kill you with an axe.
I was terrified. I was terrified to be in that house. I was terrified to exist.
Yeah.
It was like probably 1 full year of like actual mental torture.
I'm sorry I couldn't protect you.
And it wasn't just you that couldn't protect me, but
yeah, but I'm the mom. It was my job. It was my job.
But looking at, like, I harbored that resentment obviously for a long time, but knowing now that I'm older than you were at that time and seeing, like, one, going through my own abusive relationships and understanding that, like, I don't know where I'm going with this.
It does give you a deeper sense of understanding why things happened the way they did.
Well, I understand now why I perpetuated the same thing and got in abusive relationships, because that's what I thought I had to do. I thought that's the only relationship I was good enough for. I continuously sought that approval from a man because I didn't feel good enough because I was abused in childhood and all of these things happened to me.
Well, and that's how I went from man to man to man. I thought because of the earlier lesson that is the only way you keep a man happy, that's how you get them to love you. And I thought, if I'm that to them, then they'll love me. They'll love me. They'll keep me. They won't leave me. And yeah, then that cycle perpetuates.
I remember there was a point when I was dating my ex that I started recognizing, like, I don't want to sleep with you. I don't, but I felt like I had to. And I was
obligated.
One, you think something's wrong with you. It's like, okay, you just have to disassociate and get it over with and, you know, like, let them do their thing. And he was in a wheelchair again. And I was like, oh, surely someone in a wheelchair can't hurt me. Oh, how I was wrong.
Yeah.
I should have learned that one from my childhood.
Yeah.
But just like the not understanding why I was uncomfortable with the things that he was doing and the manipulation, making me feel guilty for not sleeping with him. The touches that I was like, this doesn't make me feel comfortable and I am repelling from you and I don't know why. And then figuring out that stemmed from like childhood trauma and unpacking that, like, oh, wait, I was abused as a child and this person's violating the same boundaries that I had violated as a child.
Your body remembers, especially when you're young and your brain is still forming. And those things, there's things that will never go away. Like they're there, they're ingrained, but then you have to be aware that it's not healthy. And then so you can fight it, you know, so you realize that I had been with a man since I was 15 years old. Got divorced 2016, late 2016. This is the first time I've been alone in my life. And that has been like a huge healing journey because I didn't think I could exist without somebody else in my life. You know, I had put my whole worth and value into being the partner or wife or whatever of someone. And so, yeah, and I'm like, I'm not seeking, I'm not looking. It's like, you know, I'm not opposed to it. If the right person came along, of course, you know, I would say,
wrap it up.
My standards are so because, you know, the saying of water seeks its own level. So I want to make sure that my level is such that I never attract that nasty pond scum water again.
Honestly, the amount of people that still to this day defend people when There's like proven countless, like, this person is a predator. This person is dangerous. This person has a history of abuse. They are not safe to be around. And people still like accept them and love them. And I still get people in my family telling me like, you should make amends with your dad. And I tried to. And I said the same thing that I said to you. I was like, look, here's all of my grievances. This is why I'm upset with you. Like, let's have a conversation about it and take some accountability for the because it wasn't just me. My dad, and I have to say this without giving away somebody else's story that is not mine to share, but he had relations with a 16-year-old that I was friends with, and that person then had the same perpetuation of dysfunctional men, thinking it was their fault because they flirted with the adult. He was 60 years old at that point. And this poor girl was like, well, I was flirty. I wore the short shorts around him. I would bend over and make sex jokes. I had to talk to them for 3 years, almost every single day, because they wanted to off themselves. They actually tried to. It took forever for them to accept that they were not at fault for that. And that's crazy to me.
Well, and that's why, we still have this taboo about even talking about it. In fact, YouTube doesn't want us to say the word. There's this stigma, and then it's still like the victims are the ones carrying the shame. But it's not like, I wish we could speak to the mountaintops and call them all out, because it's not our shame to carry. It's not ours. That's the message like I want women to get. It's, you can talk about it. And it's not yours. You didn't do anything to cause it.
People that are going to watch this and still continue to say, that's no reason for your bad behavior. You're just trying to use it as an excuse. You're just trying to, like, people that were abused as child turn into adults that were abused as children. And the dysfunction, if no one's ever there to support them, if no one's ever there to give them the tools, if no one's ever there to talk to them through it, they're going to perpetuate that dysfunction through their entire life and make choices that reflect the dysfunction. So how do we stop it? How do we break the generational curse and fix it for the better?
I think it's like we got to talk about it. You got to talk, and it's not. I'm going to just say it's not easy. When you came to me, with your, the first part was when you stopped talking to me, and I didn't understand. Like, I didn't understand it. I really didn't understand it, and it hurt, and it was like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought, because it was after you had left, and you weren't married yet. You weren't married yet.
The first time?
Yes, correct. Yeah. Yeah. And then even when we did reconnect, you told me, well, I was just embarrassed about it or whatever. Like, you made up, like, you still didn't really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But you wanted to open the door. And then we started talking, and we've had some tough conversations. I've had times where I've not liked you very much.
That's fair.
But I can say that to you now.
Yeah.
And that's the point, is like, we get afraid, like, okay, I got to be careful. I like the mask. Let me put it, because I just want you to love everything about me and have everything be okay. But things are not ever going to be okay unless you are real and raw and talk about the crap that's stuffed under the carpet. Like, we just got done talking like things you didn't even know. Like, we haven't even talked, like,
we'll come back to that.
End.
I think the big point you hit on there is that is part of the reason that my first husband, I don't want to call him that. It doesn't count. Look, here, for anybody who wants the juicy details of my first marriage, he wanted to quit his job so he could pursue the Paralympics. I told him, you go to the emergency room at least once a year. You need to be on insurance. So we were already living together for 4 years. We decided on a Sunday that we'd go to the courthouse on a Tuesday, get hitched, and then I went to work afterwards. So we were legally married for 7 months. I separated with him after like 2-3 after. So congratulations. Anyway, he was the person that made me distance myself from you originally, because he was like, your mom is dysfunctional. You shouldn't have a relationship with her. But we were having conversations about how I didn't like him.
Oh yeah, you would call crying because you were so upset. Yes.
He wanted me to quit my job because I was being successful. He wanted me to quit. And mind you, I was the only income coming in. He wanted me to cut my relationship off with you, my relationship off with a close friend of mine, like the narcissist thing where they just
I was going to say that is true narcissistic
quintessential. And
Mhm.
I thought that was normal. I thought I was doing the right thing because I needed a man. And he admitted to me that he used me as his ability to feel like a man. If I didn't want to sleep with him, then he didn't feel man enough. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to make him feel that way.
Yep.
But that's originally why I cut off that relationship. Go figure. He was.
Yeah. I mean, and I really hope that your sister listens to these because it's no secret we're estranged. I do have a daughter that's older than you. And again, she was the original product of my dysfunction. I was 17 when I had her. She mainly got raised by my grandmother because I had to work 3 jobs when I ended up getting divorced because her father was not in the picture. There was no child support. It was me, single mom at 19. And I worked
meeting my dad,
Bob's Big Boy, and I threw a paper route and like anything I could figure out how to do. And that's kind of when I started getting on my entrepreneurial journey too, was because I needed to figure out like something bigger that I could do. So I didn't have to work all these like stupid little jobs and, but yeah, she like, I can't undo, we can't undo what's already been done. We can only commit accountable and saying, yes, that happened to you. I am sorry. I am so sorry. As a mom, it's like the love you have for your children, like, and I love her. I love her dearly. I loved her since the day she was born. And it pains me that she feels that way about me, but I can only say I'm here and open to listening and being the mom you need today, because that's all I can be. I can only be what I can be today. I can't go back and change what the past had to hold. But families are messy. Relationships are messy.
We have one of the messier ones, that's for damn sure.
Have a lot of mess.
I think the ability to have hard conversations was one of the things that really made me leave that one ex, first of all, because I recognized that it wasn't about never talking about them. It wasn't about being a people pleaser. It wasn't about hiding all of that shame down. It was about the tools to be able to have them functionally. And that's kind of something that from my childhood, I saw these fights break out into fist fights when people had disagreements. So it's like, okay, we can't have disagreements, but you have to be able to have disagreements and voice your
in order to
in a
fix
healthy
problems.
way. Exactly.
Yeah, you can't fix what you don't know is broken. I can honestly tell you, like, I didn't know some of these things were broken. I thought you and I were super close and everything was great and your childhood was great. And I was doing a really good job of making your childhood great. I had no idea all this stuff was boiling on the side.
Well, so my stepmom, I think this is what got us on this topic originally. My stepmom told me when I was a kid, she told me all these hellacious things about you. She told me that you left me at the old house when you moved with a note pinned on me saying the new address. Obviously, that's not what happened.
Right. No, never.
One
thing I will never, ever not be accused of is like, I'm Mama Bear. You're too young to remember, but some of the battles that I had, like in the court system and everything, and fighting for you, and that's when I learned like everything's about money. It's not about the truth and fair, and like it's about money, the best interest of the child. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, that Mama Bear instinct, and you even know, even as young as baby boy is, when he cries, and it's not just a hunger cry, it's like something else, and it's like you just want to fix it. You just want to fix it, and that doesn't ever go away. By the way,
does it make you want to cry every time? Because I could get over that part.
And this is hard to put out there on the internet. There's going to be people who still don't want to hear the message, but I am hoping, even if it's one person that can take it, probably it's going to be somebody in my generation, even more so than yours, takes a hard look at what their adult child experienced, and that it's okay to let them talk about it, and that you don't have to defend it. You need to listen so that you make sure there's nothing in your current that is repeating
that cycle.
Cycle, ugliness, whatever that is, whatever you want to call it. Because it's pretty prevalent. And there's a lot of people holding on to a lot of hurt and pain and dysfunction, and turning to, look at our alcohol and drug problem in this country. I think you can pretty much correlate numbers with things that have caused them to want to bury pain. So if we can help people start unburying pain and dealing with it and healing, and then find out you really can have relationships with your adult children and not be like the toxic parent over here, and they're just the brat over here. And
well, something that from my perspective, to be able to have a relationship with you and not only share my truth, that's one piece of it, but accept that we had the same story. The overlap of what happened to you as a child and what happened to you as a teenager, what happened, the assault, the abuse, all of those things were the same things that happened to you. Right. And my anger and resentment and what led me to be angry at you were the same things that you, the dysfunction that you were dealing with. And so I had to come from a perspective of understanding where you were to be able to have those conversations that went both ways.
And I think if you look at it too, they say it takes 3 generations to break the cycle. I didn't end my last toxic relationship until 7 years ago. You, on the other hand, have your whole life ahead of you, and you found a really good guy, and it's already a generational change.
It is. I think the difference, and Grant's going to hate me. He's going to hate me saying this, but we have our own dysfunction that we recognize. That's the big difference, is the dysfunction is still prevalent. It's still there, but we have a healthy relationship in spite of it because we're willing to look at the dysfunction. And that's the big message, is the dysfunction doesn't just go away because you're going to therapy and you're talking about it. You just have the skills to be able to work through the dysfunction.
Yeah, you have a fight about something, you can then go back and go, oh, we did this because this is, and then be able to talk about it, heal, move on, be stronger for it. Instead,
exactly.
I think it's too much we see. It's the end of the world. It's done. I don't like you anymore. I'm not happy in this situation, because we went into this whole I deserve to be happy. But then what does that mean? Well, that comes from doing the work to discover why you're not happy.
Yeah.
And not blaming it on somebody else.
The piece of we hold on to our ego and our validation for the feeling that we had in that moment. If I called you a name and I'm mad at you for something, and then I go back and I recycle back to, well, you did XYZ, which made me feel like this, so my actions are justified. Holding on to that piece is what continues the dysfunction. You have to be able to overcome your ego to have conversations like this and make it better.
And that's really hard to do if you feel completely insecure and you're a piece of crap, and you're still in that too.
Yeah, you're questioning if you were in the right, because you said something or you did something that you're not quite sure if it was the right or wrong thing to do, and maybe it doesn't align with your values, but you want to find the good in yourself to say I'm not a bad person. I did this because XYZ. Removing that lens from it and just looking at the situation is what will help you get to a better relationship. That's been a hard struggle for the two of us. That's in multiple conversations we've had to.
Well, because we're both a little stubborn too.
Prove it.
I feel like that's a good ending point.
What did we say at the end? You do the outro. I did the intro.
Okay, I feel like this is probably a really good spot to leave this. I feel like we kind of come
Trauma
full
dumped enough.
circle on the topic. Obviously, we have a lot more to discuss, and we welcome your comments, questions, love stories. If you feel like sharing, again, I think that's really healing. If you can share your story and not feel shame with it, like get it out there. We'll be back for more.
I got more stacks of photos that we can go through. Ugh. There's 30 years of this mess. Thank you for being here in our trauma dumping session, and we hope to see you on the next one, where we're going to talk about employment, jobs, entrepreneurship, and how difficult it is to keep a 9 to 5. All right. Bye now.
Bye.